Hey, my name's Taffy, and if you're watching this, I assume you like two things: superheroes and cartoons. Bonus points if you like emo teenagers, because then this show is definitely for you. Batman Beyond is probably my favorite superhero cartoon, next to Spectacular Spider-Man, which isn't a surprise since it's the successor to one of the DCAU's other amazing shows, Batman the Animated Series. So it's expected to be great. It's not the first sequel to this show, but to me, and I'm sure some others, it is the better one. Although the network asked for the team to deliver a show geared towards a younger and less mature audience, it carries over the original dark vibes and themes of Batman the Animated Series, but also caters to a younger audience and adds a whole new e-boy shway spin to the Batman mythos. To all my normies out there, shway is how future people in DC say cool or sexy. Huh? This is what I spend my free time researching. Batman Beyond is such an amazing and influential show to superhero cartoons, and today I'm gonna go over the series' strong points and its influence on superhero cartoons. But yeah, I guess we should start at the start. Okay, I didn't mean that far back. You guys don't understand the excitement I would get from waking up at 7 AM on a Saturday morning, pouring myself a bowl of Rice Krispies, and adding enough sugar for me to be a type 2 diabetic at 12, also I can enter my happy place and watch reruns of Batman of the Future, I mean Batman Beyond. I'm not from the UK. Yeah. The show got clear inspiration from Spider-Man 2099 and the film Akira when it was designing its futuristic aesthetic. Akira has also got a lot of backgrounds and neon lights, which seems to be somewhat carried over into Batman Beyond, especially in its nighttime scenes. But this actually isn't the first time that a DCAU show has shown influence from anime, as the influence is very present both in the original Batman the Animated Series as well, which even has direct references to Akira. I mean, look at this Akira bike slide right here. This was basically recreated bar for bar. I think it's also cool to mention that some of the outsourced work was done by Spectrum Studios, which had a lot of artists who worked on Akira at TMS Studios. The creators of Batman Beyond clearly had their respect for anime, but ironically, if you look for the majority of the inspiration for the show from a story sense, you can see a lot of influence from their main competitor, Marvel. When the show was ordered by Kids WB, they wanted a relatable Batman, and due to the continuity already set by the animated series, basically proving that none of the already established characters and cast members could even be Batman, they decided to go for a much more original idea. The idea of Batman having a successor in the future once Bruce Wayne has become injured or too old, which was an idea thought by many different creators and fans. And it's led to us seeing so many people don the cowl, but Batman Beyond was different because instead of using one of the usual suspects such as Nightwing or Azrael or Bruce's son, no, the creators of the series decided to do what they do best and what Sonic fans do best: create their own OCs, but this time have them be the star of the show. Terry McGinnis is a clear combination of the Peter Parker teen hero trope with the 2099 aesthetic, and if you think about it, his character and world built around him clearly wears their influences proudly on their metaphorical sleeves. Terry means well to the people around him, but seems to always let them down due to his whole teen superhero shtick. But I'll get more into the character side later, so stick around. And the new look of Neo Gotham clearly is a nod towards New Ever York from the Spider-Man 2099 comics, and that's not even the only inspiration he took from 2099. Let's do a little fit check on Batman Beyond's suit right here. His ears are much longer here, which I personally really like, even though it must have been jarring to walk through doors with. It's worth the pain as long as he's clean. Then we got the red bat logo and the accents on the suit, a very nice touch. There's also one thing that is kind of a controversial design choice, but there's no cape on this bat suit. What the fuck? Now obviously this suits the Beyond suit, as I can't imagine it with a cape, but as a young child, I never liked capes on superheroes, because I thought they were dumb and also just impractical. I mean, look at this scene from the Robert Pattinson Batman film. He's getting dragged across the court by his cape, bro. Do you see exactly what little me was saying back in the day? But yeah, I changed my mind the first day I saw the Snyder Cut, because that looks so cool. Say what you want about the actual film, I don't care. Those capes had me weak at the knees. I remembered every time I talked shit about capes, and yeah, I ate my words like they were groceries. So yeah, I like capes now, but it's fine that this suit doesn't have any. And to end off the Batman Beyond fit check, when he wants to prove that he's the flyest gentleman in Gotham, he spreads those victory red wings and his boots set aflame and he becomes Bat Him Beyond. Wait, what's that? Do a fit check on Spider-Man 2099? Oh. Okay, so if we take into account that in the comics Miguel's suit is canonically black, then that means that the party of the DCAU just plagiarized Miguel's fit. He's even got the talons, the wings, the claws, and oh my days. Low-key, I still think Batman Beyond did it better, but this is straight up plagiarism. But anyways, enough of this. Let's just smoothly transition from Batman Beyond's character design into the city's character design. Boom! Look at this, bro. I think that the idea of taking Gotham, a city made to envision the Gothic period, I mean it's in the flippin' name, Gotham, and transforming it into a futuristic Blade Runner-esque city is just genius. Because most of the time when people create the idea of the future, it's just neon lights glowing all over the place and insanely slick architecture. But because this is still a version of Gotham, the city has to be both neon and futuristic but still dark, gothic and kind of old school at the same time. And boy oh boy did the team deliver. I would consider myself to be quite a decent artist, but this stuff right here, this is that good shit. Like look at this image right here of a futuristic city. Whilst the vibrance and colours do translate that it is somewhere in the future, it also looks like a place I want to visit with a disposable camera. And Gotham is not that place. Gotham is like O-Block if it was given pin particles to multiply in size. Gotham, both in the past and the future, should never look like a place or somewhere you'd want to live in. I mean, does it look cool? Yes, but do I want to reside there? Hell no. You literally have to walk around at night with your head on a 360 swivel just like a toy or an owl, just so you don't get robbed by one of these goobers. Or even worse, get dragged into something that Batman should be dealing with. But speaking of Batman, let's talk about Bruce Wayne and Terry McGinnis. In this show, the Terry and Bruce dynamic is kind of its rock. To people who haven't seen Batman Beyond, think Spider-Man and Iron Man in the MCU, only with Bruce constantly being in Terry's ear. These two have a mentor-mentee relationship that you'll never get tired of. Bruce Wayne would never want anybody to go down the same toxic and unhealthy path he did, but he usually is given one choice, which isn't actually to turn the other shoulder and shun these young children, but he has to actually help them so they don't end up completely like him. Because Bruce Wayne is a recluse who constantly is playing a character, a man who quite literally and physically combats his childhood trauma and guilt by beating the shit out of people who he thinks deserves it. But he doesn't ever go to the point of killing his villains because he knows that that's a line he cannot cross, because if he's already a nocturnal sky rat who whoops ass for a living, then how could he control himself once he starts to murder people? And this idea is partially challenged in the very first scene of the first episode. We open to a futuristic Gotham where a group of criminals have kidnapped a young woman and are holding her hostage, and we see on the news that Bruce Wayne has clearly aged with the city but still has stayed up to date, doing what he can to uphold the Wayne name and company to the best of his abilities. But before anything really bad can happen to the kidnapped woman, Batman as always is there to stop them. But this time, this isn't the Batman we're used to. He's quite more dependent on new technology in his suit, which gives him incredible strength and also protects him a lot more. And we also see that physically, this Batman isn't as sharp. And the tensions in the scene peaks at 2 points in my opinion. The first time when Batman starts to clutch his heart in agony, revealing that he has some sort of heart problems. And then the second time when one of the thugs catches him off guard and uses the heart problems to his advantage. But as we know, Batman's parents were turned into Swiss cheese with a handgun back in an alleyway when he was a child. So due to Bruce realizing that he needed to use the same weapon that made him become Batman.
Batman doesn't kill, but I do.
To defeat a regular person, not even one of those big bads by the way, he decided to hang up the cape for good. Wait, that doesn't work because the Batman Beyond suit doesn't have a cape. Shit. He hung up the cowl forever. Whatever. Then we have my boy Terry McGinnis. Now, unlike Bruce Wayne, T-Boy was never able to use his wealth to aid his struggles. Whilst Bruce traveled and trained with the best in the world to control his darkness and anger, Terry was out here in the hood. There was nobody who was able to truly understand and help him with his temper or anger issues, and that's probably why in the first episode he's whooping ass all over the place. But although the two of them may have that part of the job in common, Terry McGinnis learned how to fight in the streets, which means fighting dirty. Think prime Eddie Guerrero. Lie, cheat, steal. Rest in peace, Latino Heat. But the two worlds collide when Terry ditches his father to go clubbing, but he ends up getting in a fight with the Jokers, a gang inspired by the Clown Prince of Crime, who will be mentioned again later. The Jokers chase him up to Wayne Manor, and the duo meet for the first time. Now, taking a sad note, Bruce is probably at the lowest point in his life right now. He's completely alone as all the people close to him are either dead or just hate his guts. His company has practically been taken over by a capitalist who's corrupted the city and judicial system, and the streets of Gotham lack a Batman to stop criminals. But when Terry leaves Wayne Manor to find out that his father was killed, he pretty much goes through a late bloomer's version of the Batman origin story. Now, unlike Bruce, Terry doesn't have to go through all those experiences like Batman did without true guidance or naivety. Batman struggled throughout his career, since all these events that happened to him were completely new. But with all these events having taken place and being able to have Bruce in his earpiece, Terry is able to be much more efficient as Batman, especially with the futuristic tools that he has to his advantage, right? No, if you think Terry becomes a 10 out of 10 Batman within 2 to 3 episodes, then there'd be no show. The show's structure in early episodes will usually have Terry learn new experiences, skills, or become less of a vigilante and more of a hero, whereas it also having learning points for Bruce Wayne, mainly by having him learn to trust again. But while while this relationship between the two benefits Bruce, it nearly does all but for Terry. He pretty much gets the Spider-Man 2 treatment, where everybody questions his priorities, as he'll tend to leave them for Batman duties, to which they just think is work for Bruce Wayne. But if we're going to be talking about the content of the series, it will be impossible for me to not mention the movie, Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. Bruh. This is one of the greatest DC animated movies I've ever done seen. And the DC animated movies are mostly good, so there is a high bar to live up to. But this movie is so good that I don't want to spoil everything about it, so I'm only going to mention my favourite moment of the movie, the final fight. So Terry and the Joker are throwing hands, right? And whilst they're getting down, the Joker is getting the upper hand and he knows Batman like the back of his hand, which causes Terry to realise, what if the Joker wasn't fighting Batman? What if he was fighting Terry McGinnis? So Terry starts using his street style that he grew up fighting with, and even talks shit and laughs at the Joker's face, because the Batman Joker knew would never banter with him, let alone laugh at him. But yeah, that happens and I will not spoil the rest of the movie. This movie's got a great plot, which is pretty dark and mature and depressing, but I can't say what happens because I want you to watch it. Oh yeah, speaking of mature, this show gets dark. Night. I'm sorry, I had to do it. Batman Beyond was different because for some reason, the network it was airing on just didn't seem to give a crap about restrictions. I mean, people weren't bleeding all over the place or anything like that, but there were dudes getting packed in episodes. In the first two-part episode, not only did Terry's dad get killed, but then Terry indirectly avenges his father. Terry didn't intentionally kill Fix, not in the moment or in his plan. He literally attempts to turn him in, but of course the bad guys aren't trying to go to jail, so Fix ends up dying by getting electrocuted and then drowned when he crashes a ship full of poison. There is also blood in this show, but they use it quite sparingly since it's still aimed towards kids for the most part. But there are a lot of episodes which focus on bullying leading into school attacks, sexual innuendos, stalking, and once again, murder. But this is a show rooted from the world of comics. There's an episode where this one villain, Spellbinder, makes the police chief, who used to be Batgirl and is Jim Gordon's daughter, see Batman murder Mad Stan. I remember when I watched this for the first time and was absolutely dumbfounded. But like I said, rooted in the world of comics, so of course this was a fake out death. But whatever, the episode was still good. Yo guys, so yeah, it's been a while since you've seen me in real life, and you're probably wondering, why am I not animated right now? Well, I forgot to write this part in the script, and it's kind of a really essential part. Instead of poorly rambling over some video footage, I thought you get to see my silhouette. I don't know how this is going to turn out. It's really blazing right now. So if you guys were paying attention, there was a bit where I flashed a foreshadowing text on the screen, where I said that usually writers will have Bruce's son become the next Batman. Technically Terry is Bruce's son, and that's because of a dumb reason that I really don't like. So in Justice League Unlimited, so after Batman Beyond ended, there was a show called Justice League Unlimited, which basically was a show talking about how like the main Justice League just expanded like to a universal level. And there were a couple episodes where they would go to the future, and Batman Beyond appeared I think 3 times. Once in a time traveling mini series, and then the second time in the episode that we're about to talk about. Basically, we find out that Amanda Waller, who, if you don't know, she's the one who like puts together all the Suicide Squads, she ordered for Batman to give some of his DNA to donors so that when Bruce gets too old to become Batman, the world will have a Batman. And I guess it kind of worked, but not in the way she intended, because in the episode, originally Terry's parents were going to just be murked in cold blood, like right in front of him, similarly to how Bruce lost his parents. Another Easter egg to the DC animated universe was that it was going to be Phantasm who kills Terry's parents. When she was about to do it, she was like, this is messed up, so she decided to, let him have his parents in his life. And then Amanda Waller was just like, you know what, it's fine, like, this is a messed up plan anyways. But luckily enough for Amanda, Terry's dad died, and he also happened to have met Bruce, which meant he became Batman just out of pure coincidence and fate, I guess. It was his destiny technically, since, he's Bruce's indirect child. And yeah, I don't like this. I see why the writers would do this, right? Because it makes some sort of sense, since this would be something Amanda Waller would definitely do. But I like the idea of it being that, you know, anyone can be Batman, but if someone is pushed to such lengths of trauma and grief and guilt, yeah, that person could be Batman, but they don't have to be a Wayne to be Batman. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, maybe that's just me, maybe I'm being stupid, but let me know what you guys think of how they dealt with that. But me personally, I'm going to be pretending that that's a non-canon storyline. So, yeah. Back to you, Animated Taff.
Hit that like button.
Batman Beyond was received so well that pretty much every other competitor wanted to do something similar by making a teen hero that has Spider-Man tropes but isn't the traditional Spider-Man we were used to, because everyone knows what that is. And ironically, not only is this how we ended up with shows like Static Shock, which is within the DC name, so not really a competitor, but it also shows us how we got Spider-Man Unlimited. This show is a really weird subject because it's a blatant ripoff of Batman Beyond, which is a blatant ripoff of Spider-Man 2099. And I'm so confused because the showrunners really could have adapted Spider-Man 2099, which has a lot of great source material to work with as well. But instead they tried to go with a somewhat more original route by putting Peter Parker on a rocket ship to another planet where he has to fight Carnage and Venom and anthropomorphic animals called the Bestials. The weird thing about this show is that the first episode kind of tries to play itself off as a sequel to the Spider-Man animated series. It even uses the show's main guitar riff, but the continuity errors are so inconsistent that most people kind of just stop trying to link these two universes. But you know what? They tried their best. I see the cool character designs and shading, so here's a participation sticker. But I wouldn't say that Unlimited was the end of Batman Beyond influencing Marvel. I still think the animated projects such as Spectacular Spider-Man and Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes were inspired by Batman Beyond too. I even think the Hulk versus animated movies having such mature themes could be because of the mature themes that were pioneered by shows like Batman Beyond, and even you could argue Spider-Man the Animated Series 2, which also had its fair share of dark moments. I just wanted to end off by reiterating that Batman Beyond ended up being a very influential series and kept up with the high standard of the DCAU shows while setting off a standard for future cartoons. This is because of the fact that it also was very heavily influenced by other cartoons and stories, which I think there is no shame in, and doesn't take away from Batman Beyond's success at all. Like for example, have your opinions on the guy, but Quentin Tarantino makes very influential and brilliant films, and he constantly talks about how he just combines everything he likes and takes influence from those things, but adds on his own twist to them. Such as how people point to Reservoir Dogs being very similar to Ringo Lam's City on Fire. Batman Beyond clearly has its influences, but I don't think it deserves to be called a ripoff, since although it used influence from Spider-Man's teenage superhero tropes and Spider-Man 29's futuristic cities, it practically created a whole new gallery of rogues, characters, and stories for Terry and Bruce to explore through. So with that being said, that's how Batman Beyond changed the game.
Also, English or Spanish?